Did you know that Trump's tariffs sent the U.S. dollar plummeting by 3.5% and added up to $100 billion in additional costs for American consumers? Import prices skyrocketed, and trade wars broke out across the globe. But how did this happen, and what does it mean for your daily life? Stay tuned to uncover how these tariff policies reshaped the economy and made everyday goods more expensive. Back in 2018, Donald Trump's trade wars started shaking up the global economy, particularly with the imposition of tariffs on Chinese imports. The U.S. dollar lost nearly 3.5% of its value within a year, sending shockwaves across international markets. But the impact didn't stop there. American consumers were hit with an extra $100 billion in costs, as prices of everyday goods like electronics, appliances, and food jumped significantly. In this video, we're diving into the hard numbers to show you how these tariffs triggered price hikes, disrupted global supply chains, and impacted everything from your groceries to your gas bill. By the end, you'll understand how these policy decisions still have a massive impact on what you pay at the checkout and why the effects are still being felt in 2025. In early 2025, Trump's administration introduced a sweeping set of tariffs with the goal of addressing trade imbalances, protecting U.S. jobs, and challenging the dominance of countries like China in the global market. On February 4, 2025, Trump signed an executive order imposing a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada, while also imposing a 10% tariff on Chinese goods. These tariffs were sold to the American public as a way to level the playing field and bring back manufacturing jobs to the U.S. While the administration's aim was to revive U.S. industry, the reality was far from what they had promised. According to a 2019 study by the Journal of Economic Perspectives, the initial tariffs resulted in $3.2 billion per month in extra costs for U.S. consumers. The tariffs created immediate trade tensions, especially with Canada and Mexico, which retaliated by imposing tariffs on U.S. agricultural goods and consumer products. Meanwhile, China fought back with counter tariffs, which escalated into a full-blown trade war. The result? Massive disruptions in the global supply chain and unpredictable shifts in market sentiment. Investors weren't sure what to expect, and this market uncertainty pushed companies to hold off on investments and postpone hiring plans. The immediate fallout of Trump's tariffs didn't just affect China or U.S. Neighbors like Canada and Mexico, the global economy felt the effects too. By March 5, 2025, the U.S. dollar index saw a significant drop of 4.5%, the most significant decline in recent years. The value of the dollar weakened dramatically as both investors and foreign governments started to question the stability of U.S. economic policies. According to Bloomberg, the dollar index could potentially drop by another 4% in the second quarter of 2025 following a series of retaliatory tariffs from China. In total, the dollar lost 9% of its value within just the first 9 months of 2025. One key factor behind the dollar's decline was the fear that these tariffs would cause a slowdown in U.S. economic growth. When the U.S. places tariffs on foreign goods, those costs are often passed down to U.S. consumers. Products like electronics, clothing, and cars that rely on overseas production started to rise in price. This led to inflation, a hidden tax that hits everyone, especially middle-class Americans. The dollar's drop caused price hikes on imported goods across the board. Prices for imported cars increased by 6 to 8% as a direct result of tariffs, while the cost of consumer electronics, especially smartphones and laptops, rose by an average of 12%. For the average person, this meant higher grocery bills, expensive electronics, and rising fuel costs. Imagine paying more for your phone because parts were sourced from China, or having to spend more at the gas pump because tariffs made oil more expensive. On top of that, the inflationary pressure of these rising costs strained household budgets, especially for working families. Food prices jumped by 3.4% in 2025, the sharpest rise in nearly a decade, with some essentials like meat and vegetables going up by 6 to 8%. By March 8, 2025, the situation became even more volatile. Trump doubled down on the tariff strategy, increasing tariffs on Chinese goods from 10% to 20% and targeting Mexican dairy products and Canadian lumber. This further fueled the trade war between the US and China, while Mexico and Canada retaliated by imposing new tariffs on US exports. The stock market responded negatively to the ongoing trade war. In fact, the S&P 500 saw a drop of 1.8% between March and May 2025, a market correction not seen since the 2008 financial crisis. The Dow Jones Industrial Average experienced significant losses, dropping more than 1,300 points in 2 days. The uncertainty surrounding U.S. tariffs left investors in the dark about the future of U.S. trade policy and its impact on the economy. U.S. agricultural exports to China plummeted by $6 billion in 2025 alone due to the tariffs, with soybeans a major U.S. export losing 50% of its market share to competitors like Brazil. For many people, the uncertainty in the stock market meant that retirement accounts lost value, and people started to question their investment choices. If you had invested in the stock market or were relying on 401(k)s and other retirement accounts, you likely felt the pressure of volatility. For the average worker, it meant fewer job opportunities as companies cut back on hiring or delayed expansion plans. Meanwhile, business owners faced the challenge of higher tariffs on supplies, causing them to raise prices to cover increased costs. Small businesses in particular had a hard time adjusting to the tariffs, and many shut down due to being unable to absorb the increased costs. By mid-2025, the US dollar faced a further challenge from international powers like Russia, Brazil, and China. These nations began to reduce their reliance on the dollar for trade transactions, using local currencies or creating their own currency agreements. As the BRICS nations Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa began to push for a system not based on the US dollar, the global landscape began to shift in ways the US hadn't anticipated. China's share of global trade conducted in its currency, the yuan, jumped from 2.7% in 2024 to 6.1% in 2025, signaling a shift away from reliance on the US dollar. Additionally, Russia's ruble saw a 12% increase in global trade use during this period. A weaker US dollar means higher interest rates, especially on things like mortgages and car loans. If you're someone with a mortgage or thinking about buying a house, the cost of borrowing will likely rise. As the US loses its grip on the global financial system, foreign investors might be less willing to buy US bonds, leading to higher borrowing costs for both the government and regular citizens. Additionally, the decline of the dollar affects international travel. Americans used to enjoy a strong dollar when traveling abroad, but with the dollar's diminished strength, foreign vacations became more expensive. Whether it's tourism or business travel, the overall cost of going abroad increased as a result of the dollar's depreciation. Trump's tariffs were initially aimed at bringing jobs back to the US and protecting American interests. However, the long-term effects revealed a different story. Manufacturing jobs did not increase as expected, and the US economy faced higher costs across the board. While some industries saw short-term benefits, the broader global economic instability created by the tariffs continues to reverberate today. U.S. manufacturing output rose by only 1.3% from 2025 to 2026, which is far below the 5% increase that was promised during the tariff push. Moreover, GDP growth slowed to 1.5% annually, significantly below the anticipated 2.3%. The tariffs created a new economic reality, where the cost of living continues to rise, wages have stagnated, and economic insecurity has become a normal part of life. Many Americans are still dealing with the fallout from higher prices, fewer job opportunities, and a sense that the country's economic policies have left them behind. In the end, Trump's tariff policies have changed the course of the global economy. From a falling dollar to increased prices and a slowdown in global trade, These policies have created a ripple effect that affects the average American in unexpected ways. As the world continues to adapt to these changes, one thing is clear: economic policies matter more than ever, and the consequences of poorly executed tariffs can be far-reaching. If you found this analysis insightful, like the video, subscribe to stay updated, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Delays and longer lead times in production and delivery. For everyday drivers and prospective car buyers, these supply chain issues could manifest as higher vehicle prices and longer wait times for new orders. The increased cost of essential components may also lead to higher service and repair bills, affecting the total cost of ownership. If your dream of owning a Tesla becomes more expensive, you might have to consider alternative transportation options or delay your upgrade to a new, cleaner vehicle. This could also have a broader impact on local economies, as higher vehicle prices might reduce consumer spending in other areas. Chapter 4: Competitive pressure from domestic rivals. In China, Tesla is not the only player in the electric vehicle arena. Domestic competitors such as BYD, NIO, and XPeng are expanding rapidly, often offering vehicles at significantly lower price points while leveraging advanced technology and aggressive marketing. BYD, for instance, delivered around 4.27 million passenger vehicles in 2024 and is steadily closing in on Tesla's global sales figures. Tesla's market share in China has slipped from 8% in previous periods to about 6.4% in December 2024, highlighting the intense competitive pressures that could reshape the market landscape. For consumers, increased competition can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, the rivalry between Tesla and domestic manufacturers could lead to more innovative features, better after-sales service, and potentially lower prices as companies battle for market share. On the other hand, if Tesla is forced to cut prices or compromise on quality to stay competitive, it might affect the brand's premium image. Additionally, a market dominated by multiple players might lead to confusing choices for buyers, making it harder to decide which EV offers the best value and reliability for daily use. Chapter 5: Tesla's strategic responses and future outlook. In response to these mounting challenges, Elon Musk has been vocal about the need to adapt. Tesla is exploring strategies such as further localizing production in China, negotiating improved trade terms with Chinese authorities, and forging strategic partnerships with local suppliers to mitigate the impact of tariffs. These strategic shifts aim to stabilize production costs and maintain Tesla's competitive edge, though they require significant time and investment to implement effectively. Looking forward, the company's ability to adapt quickly will be crucial as global market dynamics continue to evolve under the pressure of trade disputes and technological advancements. For everyday consumers, Tesla's strategic moves will eventually trickle down into the market. If successful, these strategies could mean more stable prices, shorter wait times for deliveries, and a continued stream of innovative technology. However, the transition period might be marked by uncertainty. Potential delays in product updates or temporary price increases could affect the purchasing decisions of everyday buyers. For workers in the automotive sector, these shifts could lead to changes in employment patterns as Tesla adjusts its production strategy, potentially affecting job stability and local economies. In summary, Tesla's record-breaking sales in China in 2024 stand in stark contrast to its global downturn, illustrating both the opportunities and challenges the company faces amid escalating trade tensions. The combined impact of increased tariffs, supply chain disruptions, and fierce domestic competition is forcing Tesla to re-evaluate its strategy. As Tesla navigates these challenges through greater localization, strategic partnerships, and aggressive cost management, the ripple effects will be felt not only by investors and industry experts, but also by everyday consumers around the world. Ultimately, the evolution of Tesla's strategy in response to these global pressures will have profound effects on everyday life. For consumers, the choices available in the EV market may shift, leading to changes in vehicle prices, features, and availability. For communities, these dynamics could influence local economies, from job opportunities in manufacturing to the broader environmental benefits of increased electric vehicle adoption. As the global trade environment and technological landscape evolve, staying informed and adaptable will be key for everyone from industry insiders to the everyday driver. Thank you for joining this detailed analysis. What do you think will be Tesla's next move? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more in-depth insights into the evolving world of electric vehicles.